Hi grade 5s, welcome to another recorded math lesson. Today's title is Estimating Length. Our learning intentions and success criteria are: I'm learning to use direct and indirect measurement to solve problems so that I could demonstrate an understanding of measuring length. I'll know I have it when I can use reference to estimate length in millimeters, centimeters, and meters. And a referent is just something that's like what you want to use. Okay, so we're going to go through a couple questions here and decide what unit I should use to measure these things. So do I want to use kilometers? Do I want to use meters? Do I want to use centimeters? Or do I want to use millimeters? And those are the abbreviations for each of those terms. Okay, so at any point during these questions, if you need to stop the video to think about what answer you think it is, that's totally fine. Please do that. That way you've got enough time to think about it. Okay, so which unit should I use to measure the length of my backyard? Now, my backyard is about the same length as my house is, and you guys might not obviously have seen my backyard, and in fact nobody has, but you can probably picture in your mind that my backyard is like a certain length, and that length we would measure in meters. Okay, awesome. So what unit should I use to measure the distance from my house to our school? So that one hopefully is pretty simple for you to figure out. We don't want to use anything too small because then our number would be so huge that it would just be silly. So we would actually want to use kilometers for that. If we measured the distance in millimeters, it would be in the hundreds of thousands, maybe even higher than that. So kilometers is the way to go there. Okay, what unit should I use to measure my cell phone? I have an iPhone XR, but no matter what kind of cell phone you have, it's probably going to be the same unit of measurement. We probably want to use centimeters to measure the length of my cell phone. Okay. Finally, or not finally, penultimately, the width of my fingernail. What would we like to use to measure that? So because my fingernail is quite small, we probably want to use the smallest unit to do that, which is millimeters. Okay. And now finally, to measure the height of my front door, so from the floor to as high as it goes, we probably want to use which unit of measurement? Okay, we probably want to use meters for this one. The height of a door is probably around 2 meters to 2.5 meters high. Okay, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Even if you don't know what these things look like, because I'm referencing things that belong to me, you should still try to picture them in your mind and decide what you would use to measure them. All right, in this photo here, I've shown you that the width of your finger is about 1 centimeter long. So here is 1 centimeter, and it's about the width of this person's finger. And this is actually an adult, and so your fingers are probably a little bit smaller and would even fit in a centimeter a little bit better, because if you look here, their finger is actually a little bit wider than a centimeter. So you guys are probably good to go with your littler fingers. Okay, so here are some items that you can use to estimate millimeters. You can use the width of a dime, you can use the diameter of a paperclip wire, or you can use your fingernail if your fingernail is long enough. Okay. Items that you can use to estimate centimeters, you can use the width of your finger like we saw in the last slide, or you can use the diameter of a dime. Okay. Items that you can use to estimate meters, we did centimeters and now we're doing meters, would be the length of your arm times 2. Okay, so your arm is only about half a meter, so you would need to multiply it by 2, whatever answer you get to find out how many meters. Okay, also the width of a door. Okay, a couple things here that I just want to clarify for you, just to make sure you guys know the difference between things. So width is when we're talking about, if we're talking about, I'm going to draw a cube here for you guys, or it's not quite a cube, it's a rectangular prism. Okay, so the width is talking about the shortest measurement. Okay, so if we're talking about the width of a dime, we're not talking about going this way, we're talking about just the edge. Okay, the diameter is actually what I just drew here on our dime. So on a paper clip, so here's my paper clip, and this is the wire, the diameter would just be that little bit right there. Okay. Going back to our rectangular prism, we have width here. We also would have, or no, not that one. This one here would be the length, because the length is the longest part. And then going backwards, we would have the depth. Okay, so you'll probably see the words width and length and diameter a fair amount during this unit. Okay, so I want to make sure that you guys do not forget to use units. If you just write a number, I am going to have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So if I ask you to estimate the length of your foot, and I did this before I started making the video so that I would be ready to go, my foot is about 17 centimeters long, and I used my finger to measure that. But if I were to just write the number 17 there, you would have no idea what measurement I'm talking about. I could be talking about centimeters, millimeters, kilometers. You're probably going to guess that I don't have a foot that's 17 kilometers long, but it's still very, very important to include your units for questions where it won't be obvious which unit you're using. Okay, so hopefully that all made sense. Please call me on Zoom if you have any questions. The worksheet's called Estimating Length. It's on Google Classroom and it's due tomorrow.